Okay, guys, back for hour number 3. I'm only about halfway through. I think this is going to be a two-parter, you know, at this rate. Okay, so it could happen any time. H says on it could happen any time. Woke bollocks. Just that, woke bollocks. H, if UFO disclosure 2021, it could happen any time is woke bollocks. Where is there anything in there that is woke? If anything, it's anti-woke. I've been an anti-woke person for years now. And Charles says underneath from Project Camelot, says, he corrects him here. Ben is a staunch Trump supporter and he's woke. Well, Charles, that's a contradiction in terms. And H says underneath, I meant that horrid advert. Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, there's some people who are interpreting it in the political correct sense because, of course, Christmas ads have always had this political correct element to them. And, in fact, there's been several YouTube commentators who said this, including More Goths Reviewed. However, I mean, to me, I didn't actually spot that myself. For me, the interesting part was the fact that, you see, the anti-woke people say, well, it's woke propaganda because all the humans in the video are non-white. Yet the only white person is the alien. It's suggesting that means that the country belongs to non-white people and white people are all aliens. You could interpret it that way, in which case that's a sinister message. I agree. However, I didn't get the feeling that was what was being promoted. I didn't get that idea was what was being instilled in the viewer. The idea I got was the idea of alien contact was becoming more acceptable. The viewers being told that alien contact here is occurring. They're putting the kind of the archetype into their heads. So if real information comes out about alien contact, they respond in a different way that they would have if they hadn't seen the advert. It's like the Space Force uniforms, as I explained. Right, here we go. Reply to comments 49. Free Peace Sweet says, free Peace Sweet. Thanks for the reply, Ben. Must be my wild imagination taken over. Nellie is short for Helen, and it mentions her being locked up for being a psychic, the 39 Steps 1959 version. I think you'll get my drift if you happen to catch it on TV. Great channel also, and I love the work on the Not UFO, Sean. Oh, thanks, Sean. I'll give you a love heart. You know, I've not seen that version of the 39 Steps. The one I like is the one with what's his name? I hate it when I can't think of names. He's this smooth-talking guy. Hang on. Robert Powell. Oh, dear. Yes, 1978 film with Robert Powell. That's it, yes. Robert Powell, the actor. Yeah, he was in a great comedy, actually, called The Detectives with Jasper Carrot. And he was Jesus of Nazareth, of course, yeah. But, yeah, I will look up the 1959. I'll try and look that one up. I think it's a very, very good film, but I've only ever seen one version of it. It could happen any time. Jin Skim Pivot says, an hour and a half of utter bollocks. All right. Well, could you be more specific, Jin? Well, what did you find so bollocks about it, and why is it bollocks? Because it could be you're wrong, and I might persuade you that you're wrong, but I won't know that unless you tell me exactly why it's bollocks. And the whole hour and a half. There's nothing of value in it anywhere. Please be more specific, man. I mean, I don't expect some 5-volume treatise, but you could do a paragraph or two, couldn't you? Charles from Project Camelot said, "You've seen Stephen Greer in tight shorts too, have you?" Oh yes, yes. Greer's utter bollocks. Yes, he loves showing his utter bollocks, doesn't he? I've had missing time. Tommy Time Television said, sounds like the phenomenon of a cup of tea and a natter. Well, if so, it was one. Oops, what happened there? Oh God, bugger off. What's that? Oh damn! I've got to scroll down now. What happened there? Sorry, I lost my place. Well, if it's a cup of tea and a natter, it must have been a very good one. Oh, bloody hell, come on. Okay, right, let's try again, shall we? It's one that I can't remember, Tommy Times, so I wonder why I can't remember it. But I've had missing time. I'm glad I made that video just in case something weird happened. I mean, something weird happened and I was to blame for it. Like a Sahan type thing. However, as it happens, nothing strange has happened since then. I don't know. The Lights Were Low says in reply to comments 49. Hi Ben, just one on only using cash. And having frozen your current account, etc. To avoid your spending habits being tracked, which I can understand. I know you've mentioned ordering books from Amazon recently, so you must have an account with them linked to a card, and of course they have your name and address to verify the card payment and delivery. Also, I'm guessing you have at least a broadband subscription. This would mean a direct debit, which can only be paid from a current account, not a savings account, even if your mobile app is a top-up. Is it now not the case that you can only top up with a credit or debit card? Lastly, how do you pay for your books to be printed? Is this not an online transaction? From recent experience of connecting National Express service, I myself realised you can only pay the driver on arrival if using cash, and so no guarantee of a seat. Love your show. Would love to know your workarounds for these dilemmas. You don't miss a thing, do you, the Lights Were Low? Okay, the answer is... I can't give you all the details, but it's to do with where I live and the people who live here. We have a system involving a bank account, okay, which is not directly ours. It's somebody else's. But I can't say really any more than that. But you're wrong about a couple of things. For example, you can top up a mobile phone with cash at the correct. If you go to a kiosk or some supermarkets, Co-op do it. And as for National Express, yeah, you can pay the driver with cash, although very often it's a bit tricky. Sometimes they have to give you a receipt for change because they don't have any change to give you. With National Express, it's really worth booking in advance. Just turning up and paying the driver it's not really very good. So that's all I can tell you, unfortunately. It could happen any time. Dr. Keith says, Ben, are you associated with the feline master cat Simon Parks? Am I associated with him? I'm not a member of his Connecting Consciousness movement. I know him. I speak to him. I meet him at various events. In that way, I am associated with him. Yes. If what you're referring to is, are you going to condemn the man because of some badly directed YouTube videos with people sitting around slagging him off? No, I'm not going to condemn him based on that. It could happen any time. Jock of Ages says, the monolith you spoke of is actually part of the RCS test facility at the northern end of Groom Lake. You can see the same monoliths at other RCS test sites in North Mojave, near China Lake, and also Florida at the Sikorsky test areas. Oh, really? What does RCS stand for? RCS. Area 51. Check out these fascinating classified photos. Radar cross-section. Okay, radar cross-section. I see. Now, that would make sense, actually, Jock, because... They've actually put other things like that. They have actually erected other structures at Groom Lake, which are of different shape. For example, they actually did one in the shape of the U-2 spy plane when they were developing it. Funnily enough, a Soviet spy satellite was flying over at the time and actually managed to get a snap of the... They were very careful the Area 51 people were careful to remove the structure when the spy satellite flew over. However, it got an infrared shot of the ground where the sun had been shining on it, and it left a shadow. And so they knew the shape of the U-2 spy plane from that shadow. It's very interesting. But yes, so they do set up certain areas where they do radar tests, essentially. They scan something with radar and work out exactly what kind of return it gives. So it's quite possible that that's what the monolith is, yeah. But thanks for the information, Jock. I hadn't thought of that, actually. Steve071 says, I remember watching Threads on its first broadcast, and the bees was part of our school life in the early 80s. The bees. What's the bees? Only Fools and Horses even had an episode on the 4-minute warning. It was all about scaring the population. Thankfully, I began to see through the propaganda as I got older. I've subbed to The Greatest Secret after you mentioned it, Ben. It has some good stuff on that channel. Missed this live, but I'm watching it now. Oh, cool! Thanks, Steve. I'm glad you like it. The Darkest Secret, I think you mean. Yeah, that's she's very good. That lady, the lady who does it. She's a Mexican lady, Leonora Clay, who's from Mexico and does some really good videos. But yeah, I mean, I was sort of like, I suppose I was just slightly too young to be a part of the entire Cold War culture and live under the shadow of the bomb thing. I remember in my early childhood it was there, but the Cold War started to wind down in the 1980s, and there was this détente between the two sides, which eventually resulted in, basically by the end of the 80s it was effectively over, and a few years after that the Soviet Union itself was disbanded. That wasn't planned, by the way. But yeah, but I hope you enjoyed the recording, Steve. That's on my video Halloween 2021 live stream. It could happen any time. Checkpoint says, Alex Jones ruled liable in Sandy Hook conspiracy case. All right, I heard about this. Yeah. Basically, Alex Jones was, what's this? Alex Jones ruled liable. Yes, he was. He was basically sued by a group of people who claimed to be the relatives of the children allegedly killed at the Sandy Hook shooting, and I believe he does have to have some kind of, he had to give some kind of payout. I think that the problem was that it's to do with data protection. Alex unfortunately revealed some personal information about these individuals who make this claim about their children, and unfortunately a lot of people who were watching the video went and then attacked the alleged parents. Okay, so he carries on here. Not only should they, he says here, not only should they take some of his money, they should lock this sack of shit up. It's so sad the parents, relatives and friends of those who lost their lives had to listen to this slim balls shit. I think he means slime balls. Or for him to turn a dollar. Jones was never a conspiracy believer. He used his influence to sell products to idiots. Jones is now claiming he suffered from psychosis when he made the claims, as a last-ditch attempt not to hand over any of the vast fortunes he has amassed. Where do you stand on this, Ben? I do recall you correctly saying it was a hoax. You do recall correctly, Checkpoint. Yes, you do. Now, I personally believe Alex should have fought it differently. Now, you say Jones, he was never a conspiracy believer. Alex, unfortunately, backpedaled a whole lot of stuff as a result of this particular lawsuit. Unfortunately, see, firstly, if I was in his position, I would have admitted my culpability in the data protection breach, and I would have just left it there. Unfortunately, and I would have had to. I think I would have had to just bite the bullet and said, "Okay, I messed up, and I am liable in this." And I'd have probably ended up. I'd have tried to settle out of court with these people. What Alex did instead was he ended up going to court with these alleged parents of the alleged children who supposedly died, and he then came out with this whole story about how the whole thing was just fiction, as a result to try and dig himself out of the hole. And I don't think he should have done that. Charles from Project Camelot says, before that he was Alex Jones. He said Alex Jones was a role-playing character, but he didn't really believe any of it. Yeah. Okay, so that answers your question, I think. I think Alex really was liable there. I mean, he has to admit culpability there. You can't go publishing people's addresses, even their P.O. boxes, even their workplaces, which he did. He's basically showing Google Earth images of these things. He never actually said go and get these people. He didn't incite violence against them, but he did breach their he breached their rights under the Data Protection Act. Yeah. And he said, as Charles says, he said that Alex Jones was a role-playing character. He didn't believe any of it. Well, that was, to me, that was again, that was a silly thing to do. He shouldn't have said that. Why did he try to worm his way out of this situation using these incredibly convoluted defenses? Why didn't he just say, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that"? He probably would. He probably now has to. The damages he's paying are probably going to be higher now as a result of that. But he said, your checkpoint says yes, he was. Jones offered no evidence in court. He just played the "I was nuts at the time" get out card. Yeah, it was a stupid thing to do. That was. He shouldn't have done that. Still, it's going to cost him some of his fortune. David Icke, after fleecing his followers for funds to fight his legal battle against a name I won't mention because he's very litigious, a certain human rights lawyer from Canada, actually settled out of court. He knew his goose was cooked, took the money and ran. Make money selling books claiming this, that and the other. Then when it comes on top, get your cult to fund the legal costs plus a nice little earner for you and settle out of court. Right, I think what you said about David is unfair. Now, I know a little bit of the background to this, stuff that's not mentioned in public, and you've misrepresented the situation entirely. David was up against a guy who is, to be fair, I mean, he's a horrible person. He's totally immoral, but he knows an awful lot about the law. He has the entire Canadian establishment behind him. He has other very, very powerful think tanks and other organisations behind him, and he pursues people he believes are his political enemies. But David didn't know his goose was cooked. David did put up a valid defence. He really, really did. He planned originally to go to court. He was screwed, unfortunately, by his American publisher. But you keep saying what? Make money for this, make money selling books, make money for that. Oh, dearie me. Well, checkpoint, don't you realise that David quit a job as a TV presenter to do what he's doing now? Why do you were taking such an ungenerous view about the whole thing? Now, you're right about Alex Jones. Alex, I don't believe Alex is an evil person. I don't believe... You said a lot of nasty things about Alex Jones, which I think are unfair in terms of his character. But yes, you called him a slime ball, for example. But I presume you believe the official story of the Sandy Hook shooting, which I don't. However, what you said about David is completely unfair. I believe that Alex Jones, like I say, was liable in this lawsuit because he did break the Data Protection Act, or whatever the equivalent is in the United States, and the people involved, the people he was talking about, did receive. They received abuse from which they're claiming damages. That's what it was actually about. It actually wasn't about the rights and wrongs of Sandy Hook. It was about the damages. It was the damages which were caused by the people alleging to be involved in it. They allegedly lost children in that shooting, the supposed shooting. But David quit a job as a TV presenter. David would be where Gary Lineker is right now on £20 million a year if he hadn't done this. Do you think he didn't know that when he was doing all this? Do you think he doesn't believe what he's saying? It's incredible, you skeppers. You're so cynical. Every single person who disagrees with you is morally deficient. And you, the great glorious skeptics, are the only ones who every single skeptic is wonderful, every single woo-woo is bad. And and I think I know who you are. I can't prove it, but I will soon find out. If you are the person I think you are, I will block you immediately, as you know. Are one of the worst. You literally are. It's completely black and white for you. Every single woo is evil. Every single skeptic is an angel. There's a song by Peter Gabriel called That Voice Again, which contains the lyric, "I'm hearing right and wrong so clearly, there must be more than this." And don't you think the people reading your comment will think that? Charles says here, Icke has done far worse than just scam money out of people. He's a really nasty piece of work, that one. I think you mentioned something about knowing him, Charles. Well, again, you don't elaborate here. I don't know David personally. I've met him a few times. I don't know him personally. I know a lot of people who know him, who speak very highly of him. I know a lot of people who slag him off, usually people who don't know him very well. I remember you did mention at some point a personal experience with David. I can't remember the details of that. But like I said, I can't condemn a man because of an anecdote from somebody else. Charles Scott, here we go. Oh no, don't. I thought you were going to draw a line under it, Charles. Right, it could happen any time. Charles Scott, regarding your... Oh, man, what's happened to my comment? What's happened to my comment? Oh, here we go. Here we go, is my comment. Regarding your comment, and this is this one. Oh, it's a timestamp here. Fed himself another way, but for the person who wrote to me, and I think they're probably watching now, and I did write back and tell them this, there's absolutely no way in the world I'm going to condemn Simon Parkes because... Alright, yes, this is about Simon Parkes, okay. Now for some reason I can't publish the reply to the comment thing here, okay. Charles, for some reason it's not working with the reply, and that's maybe a YouTube problem. I just tried to post a timestamp reply to your comment. But anyway, I'll read your comment out here. Regarding your comment, this is about my Simon Parkes thing. I strongly suspect you're trying to convince your YouTube viewers a tribunal is still necessary. Charles, why are you so against the idea of a tribunal? Don't you think such a thing would be good? If you're sure you're in the right, wouldn't you welcome it? I have not provided evidence based on feelings. I've provided factual evidence, such that I won't withdraw it from the public domain for fear of legal prosecution. Well, that sounds like a prosecution case to me, Charles. Come on, let's have you. To set the record straight, your description of me is invalid because beyond reasonable doubt, you are a proven liar for saying a tribunal is still required. So me saying a tribunal is still required is a deliberate deception on my part. Goodness me. Get out that one, Einstein. Anyway, you state you won't condemn anyone based on feelings without the facts and therefore want to conduct a tribunal to get their side of the story and motivations, etc. Yes. You have a problem with that? Conducting a tribunal and discovering their side of the story and motivations, etc., does not alter the fact that you acknowledge my testimony is proven true. That is, Charles from Project Camelot repeated a slanderous claim proven to be false. I can't remember exactly what I said. If I said it was proven true, then I think I made a mistake there, Charles, and I apologise. Okay, we've got now on William Blake's grave. Oh, Christoph Mahler. Oh, I think I know you. You were on Thomas Barden-Rees's live stream, I think. Regardless of any complaints about the recording or scripting of the video, it is a fine document of genuine enthusiasm for the good genius of Britain that had been plastered over with Newtonian paradigms, like Blake's grave. I always like to play that that imagines a fictional meeting between William Blake and Thomas Paine after the American Revolution in Lambeth by Jack Shepherd in 1989. Much can be learned of it in regard to political polarisation in the 21st century. And there's a video of William Blake meets Thomas Paine. All right. Wisdom, and they haven't put in a full link, which is good, Charles. I mean, Christoph, I would have approved it if it had gone to the spam folder, but not to worry. But, quote, wisdom is sold in the desolate market where none come to buy. The first time I heard The Tiger was in my youth listening to a musical adaptation, a choral, by the British composer John Tavener. Expressing a spirituality orthodox nevertheless, that is not so escapist, but embracing what looks fierce and grim in the wisdom of love, of a divine economy. Yeah, tiger burning bright. Blake was to Imperial Britain, 1707 to 1945, was Nathaniel was to the corrupted Judean kingdom of Herod the Great, as Christ is said to have put it. Behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom is no deceit. John 1:47. Oh, well, thanks for that. Christoph, that's an interesting comment. I appreciate that. Rhodes House, another old video. And Christoph Mahler again says, I try to comment, but it will automatically be deleted despite posting several variations without links? Well, Christoph, I don't know why that is. Other people have complained about losing their comments. They have. I'm sorry, I don't know why that is. I don't. I don't know why I can't actually reply to Charles Scott's comment either. It'll be automatically deleted. Okay. Several people have actually said this, and you know what? I don't know what to do about this, because I've suffered the same problem while I actually am posting on other people's channels. So, sorry about that. Checkpoint says on it could happen any time. A different clip of Marcus Allen again telling the Interplanetary Society he believes Apollo landed men on the moon. Marcus Allen, never a straight answer. Lol, he craps out. Well, let me just read these. If these are the clips you're thinking of, I've been seeing them, because here we go. Oh, it's Steve mumbling. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's Steve mumbling. Oh, right. And this one too. Oh, they're both Steve mumblings. All right. Okay. There's source videos here. Oh, this is from January 2019. Okay. Right. Really, at Checkpoint, all I could do is I'd say the same to Steve, is refer you to the answer I gave before. Marcus was... I actually made some notes about this. I'll just refer to it. Marcus was standing up in front of an audience of probably about 100 people who are very hostile to him. I think he was very brave to do that. He made a false concession as a result of being in that particular environment. I know that's what Marcus does not actually think that, and I think you are overreacting and you're misrepresenting the situation, as everyone else is. I mean, you're seeing this, you're seeing him say this, and you're jumping on this, you're picking it up and you're running with it far further than you should have. You are claiming that basically this is Marcus Allen, basically this is a massive mea culpa on his behalf. This is where I think there was a bit of confusion on the original time when all this came up. Because, I mean, I sort of addressed this when it actually happened in my HPANWO voice articles. Marcus said something he doesn't really mean, and let's face it, we all do this at certain points. When we're in company, we sometimes feel pressured into saying certain things and behaving in certain ways. Marcus was surrounded by these people with all their energy, their entire gaze, and he said what he did. And you and the other skeppers are sort of jumping on this and saying, there we are, you see, he lied and now he's telling the truth, without taking into account the context which I've just given you. And it seems like Steve Mumbling's doing the same, although I must say I haven't watched these videos by Steve Mumbling. Right, COP26 results live stream. Rosh, when you get flack, you know you're over the target, Ben. Yes, precisely. Yeah, that's right. As they banned me, yeah. Alliance of Calgon says, Halloween 2021. Very happy to find your live streams, Ben. Enjoyed you on Thomas Barden Rees too. Oh, you're welcome, Alliance of Calgon. I bet you've got some really, really clean washing machines in your house, haven't you? So thank you very much, both Flack and Rosh. Much appreciated. Ben's live stream was banned. This is a YouTube exclusive because that's when it was, yeah. YouTube stinks these days. I miss the old YouTube, and I reply here, I text not off. And Christoph Mahler says, I couldn't watch the live stream with Justine the day before properly either. Oh, Christoph, I think you emailed me, didn't you? Yeah, that's it. You're talking about the live stream I did on Thomas Barden Rees's channel. That's right. I was a guest on his show, which is very good. Halfway through, all the RAM was used up and the CPU crunched randomly to the max, as if streams were NSA P2P. Oh, you had a computer problem. I'm sorry to hear that, Christoph, I am. By the way, the movie scene you're talking about is actually on YouTube since years. I linked to it before, but noticed that this channel suffers from comment filter restrictions. Now, that's not, yeah, Christoph, I mean, I think you mentioned that Thomas Barden Rees does too. Oh, this is our email conversation, but I hope you don't mind me saying that. But, I honestly don't know why that is. It's not anything that I have put in my settings. So I don't understand why that is. I really don't. Okay. Ben's live stream banned. Live stream recordings UK. I just joined, mate. Oh, thanks, live stream recordings UK. Much appreciated. And I say here, actually, thanks, LSI UK. I'm just editing the full version for Old Tech, and I did. Luckily I hit the record button, didn't I, when I did the live stream, as I always do. I always record them. You can record them simultaneously on OBS when you're broadcasting, and I do because of this. It's for this very reason I do it. And Tommy Time Television says on the same video, what for? Well, Tommy, it was because this ridiculous thing that they claimed I was breaching copyright when it was an obvious case of fair use, and because the algorithms can't work that out, and because YouTube insist on putting the algorithms in there, they're turning themselves into massive spoil sports against their own content creators. Obvious case of fair use. Same video, Barbara Whitehall. Glad to be here. Barbara Whitehall. Glad to be here. Thanks, Barbara. Much appreciated. Glad you're here. Not able to get on your live stream. Oh, sorry. And no worries, Barbara. Thanks for trying. And, you know, you get all of it on the Alt Tech segment, definitely. Oh, we got a long thread here. This is on the same video. Dag jab. The copyright claim is just an excuse to ban the video. They're looking for anything in the video to use for banning or deleting the videos. Checkpoint. Yeah, that makes great sense regarding YouTube's business model. Copyrighted material belongs to someone. Using it without permission is stealing. No, not when it's fair use. Fair use exemption is very obvious in this case. David Smith says, yeah, this is a problem for all content creators, not just those who believe are posting deep truth type videos. No New World Order shadiness needed here. Just good old-fashioned copyright annoyance. Do you know, David, that's probably true, actually. It's probably not anything necessarily nefarious. It's probably simply the way the algorithms work, and possibly because my channel is probably on a blacklist, which makes it work more. But yeah, it's probably not the NSA trying to silence me. It's probably just the stupid YouTube algorithms. Checkpoint says here, when do you say you, what do you mean? I don't think Ben would be happy if someone started reproducing his books online without his permission. Why should it be different for anyone else? Well, Checkpoint, obviously I would not be pleased if someone started publishing my books online and then just selling them separately, or even giving them away free. No, I wouldn't be. However, if someone quoted a passage from my book for the purposes of what's the term? Let me just get the quote absolutely right. For the purposes of private study or research, for the purposes of criticism and review, free distribution, not for profit. If it's a short passage from the book, it wouldn't bother me. If the person could show they were quoting me as a result for those reasons, then it would come under the fair use provision, wouldn't it? And David Smith says definitely. Checkpoint. Oh goodness me. Thinking about it, Ben would have no moral right to complain if he steals content on the web and thinks if he tells people this is in a roundabout way, he can't get a pinch for it. Live encrypted VPN traffic can't be tracked on the fly, but if there's a court order, your ISP has to provide your connection or usage logs. Since your ISP knows you're using a VPN, your activity can then be tracked. So saying things like, I'm sure you could get this from other sources, is stupid, especially if you have as many haters as Ben does. Checkpoint, why are you harping on about this? You seem to be... That's an awfully long comment for what I should think is really not a very consequential issue. David Smith said, yeah, I'm not a fan of copyright laws. Do you remember about 10 years ago, a law firm tried threatening court action to about 20,000 file share users because unless they paid a fine, they had their IP address as evidence. Unfortunately, that's not enough evidence in court, so I never paid them a penny. Well done, David. Yeah, especially, like I say, if you use an encrypted VPN or something. I mean, just deny it. But, again, what you say, you've 2,000 copyright sharers, right? It depends what are you copying and why. There's fair use provision guidelines. You could be simply sharing a document in which you quote somebody, or have a very, very brief, say, clip of a video, like just because you want to address it in a critical way. That's fair use. Checkpoint. So admit being a thief. David Smith. No, I admit breaking copyright rules, though. Checkpoint. What's this? Oh, what on earth is this about? Oh, it's a video called "Copying is Not Theft." All right, okay. I'm not going to watch all this, but So it's just this thread is very long. Checkpoint. I guess they stole a lot of ones and zeros. Checkpoint. Now you're just being flippant because you've been caught out bang to rights. Those things you steal cost people money to produce. They make them in a hope they will make money. Stealing a song or movie is no different than stealing from a shop. David Smith. Lol, disagree. I think it's very different. And of course, if I could afford to, I'd throw money at everything digital, but I can't, so I don't, so I break copyright rules. I've given what little money I have to artists whose content I've enjoyed, but I've copied it first before giving money over. If we could copy food, that would be amazing. Earl Grey, hot. Now, David, I think what you're saying here, and I think you're correct, is even though you have technically broken copyright rules, the infringement is so petty as to be inconsequential. So therefore, why is Checkpoint going on about it? Even you don't believe what you just posted, especially how stealing a song, software, book or movie is different than stealing a loaf of bread. David, I don't know why David's replying to this. Checkpoint is really, he's jumped on this hobby horse and he's running with it. Put a loaf of bread in front of you. If you copy it and take that loaf in front of you, it's still there. That's probably why it's a civil case rather than a criminal case. Theft of physical products is criminal. I don't force artists to make content. They could work minimum wage jobs like myself. We live in a system filled with inequality. So until that's fixed, there is certainly no moral argument to be made to force people to comply. You're essentially saying that anyone who can't afford to enjoy certain content despite the means existing for them to have it should go without. If people who can afford to pay decide not to, then a stronger case could perhaps be made. But ultimately, it would simply lead to the artists not creating the content. Part of the problem with our current monetary system is one that involves exchanging our time and energy for money to survive, whereas in a system without money, people would be able to create content without worrying about giving them the means to survive. Well, you see, this issue actually emerged long ago. It's over 100 years old, when recorded music began, when the early phonographs were invented. Like these led to the record player, the vinyl disc player. There was a lot of concern over that, about licensing to produce records, and wondering if the artist would be able to survive financially with recorded music, because before recorded music, people had to go along to live shows. David Smith says, copyright infringement can amount to criminal offence as well. So I'm going to write a book, put it online for sale. Are you saying it's okay for your mate to buy it and then give you a copy? David Smith says, well, when it comes to people selling products they've copied, then sure. I borrow books all the time. Well, are you saying, well, Checkpoint, if you buy a book, a paperback book from a shop, from Blackwell's or something, are you not allowed to lend it to someone? Or you're not allowed to give it away as a present when you've read it? Checkpoint, why are you fixated so much on this issue? What if someone uses like a meme and starts distributing a meme? Are you going to get onto their backs and start nibbling their nape over copyright infringement? This leads me to suggest you're essentially creating a moral bubble here, because for some personal reason. And I think that's because you are the person I think you are. And this all adds to the evidence I can get to reach the point where I'm certain enough to block you. Right, COP26 result live stream. Alternative 3. Hey, this is from Sleeve Garnish. That's good, isn't it, Alternative 3? I quite enjoyed that. I didn't think it was real, actually. I mean, Shane Rimmer, and Richard Marner. These actors are well known nowadays. So it was obvious that it wasn't real, but it was very amusing. It did make me wonder whether there's some truth behind it. Same video, Jack Burns. I enjoyed that, Ben. Are you interested in the new Dune film? Well, Jack, look at my channel. Since you put that comment there, I've done an entire video about that, as you will soon see. I put a pinned comment on the COP26 live stream which said, "Dear viewers, I recorded a live stream, and at the end." At my end, and the full uncensored version is available in my alt tech pages. Tessa111 said on COP26 results live stream, I wonder if those pro-greenies would like to have their medical needs done without plastic. Imagine IVs with wool tubing and leather bags of saline glucose. Well, yeah, it does. What are they going to do? Are they going to ban plastic completely? Oh, dearie me. I'm just going to refresh this page. It seems to be playing up a little bit. Okay, so scroll down. How am I getting on, actually? I'm not surely being... It's probably going to be another hour out of this, but I'm getting through it. Ed Kaler says, weird, you were banned for no reason while live streaming. I think it was no reason. Yeah, it was a copyright issue to do with some videos I was playing. And since then, I've had another third-party copyright strike based on the other video I played, which is on the recording. But yeah, to stop the live stream over that is ridiculous. It's absurd. I don't know why. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, old video now. Get a job, you lazy scroungers, part 2. Kevin Green said, in a restaurant, you pay for your meal after you've eaten it. McDonald's make sure they get their money first. Yes. Well, that's right. McDonald's calling themselves a restaurant is really funny, isn't it? It's very pretentious indeed. Dr. Keith says, your self-published books make an awesome bedside table. Are you saying I've got so many of them in boxes I can... Are you saying I've got so many of them in boxes I can use them as a piece of furniture? I know people who do that, basically who pile them up and put a mattress on top of them because they can't sell them. Well, Dr. Keith, is that some kind of veiled insult in that case? I don't know. Snarnock, COP26 results live stream, he says, I recommend you get a stainless steel kettle. Plastic kettles leach plasticizer and other chemicals into the hot water over time. You will notice a difference in the taste as well. Okay, well, it does actually have a metal liner. Now, I hope it's not aluminium. Okay, Snarnock also says here, COP26 result live stream. The woman in the coach station scene of Utopia should have just laughed and told him that if he was so concerned, why doesn't he get rid of himself? Yeah, I mean, she was obviously very spooked. I mean, it was very good acting on her part and his. She probably, if it had been me, I'd have said, well, how much resources are you using then? You're an adult. Why don't you just... It's like I say to Bill Gates, you know. If you think there are too many people in the world, well, you're one of the biggest consumers of all. You know. Like Bill 6, you know. Just planting ideas. Kill yourself. Kill yourselves. Now, seriously, though, if you are, do. There's no excuse for what you do. Get a gun, jump off a cliff. These people who go on about the world being overpopulated never volunteer to go first, do they? Welsh Ripper said, gone cryonics. Ben, no notifications again, mate. I missed a live show. Oh, Welsh Ripper. This is crazy. I mean, if this ain't shadow banning, what is? I mean, it's just stupid, isn't it? It's stupid that they keep doing this to me. Really shouldn't. Either they're being incredibly inefficient, which is why the comments keep disappearing as well, or it is the deliberate harassment. Cryonics. Hugo Rune says, well said, Ben. No criticism from me whatsoever, but I will give my opinion. When you die, you're dead. This cryo stuff means nothing. All right. Well, okay, so Hugo, I know that you said earlier you don't believe in any natural afterlife, and I disagree with you on that. As for cryonics, do you think that wouldn't work either? Obviously, I've given you some references where you can look up my position on the natural afterlife situation. But what about the cryonics? Why do you believe it wouldn't work? Because there's plenty of scientists actually who do say it's just a con, it's pseudoscience. But on the other hand, you know, it's possible. I mean, after listening to the pro cryonics people talk about how it works, I do think it may well work. Yeah. Okay. Hugo Rune says, yeah, on cryonics. As I said, Ben, I do not believe in cryonics or afterlife or life after death or ghosts. Please show me evidence of ghosts or the afterlife. Interesting. Okay. Sax Glend here says underneath. Colin Wilson, and there's a ghost emoji. Hey, Colin Wilson was a very interesting chap, yeah. A very interesting author. His books, my mum used to read his books before she went crazy. And also, he was a hospital porter. That's enough said, isn't it? So, yeah, please do read his books on philosophy and paranormal and spirituality and stuff like that. To answer your question, you don't believe in cryonics. Like I said, I'm not sure. I may agree with you on that, Hugo. I'm not sure. I'm still not quite ready. I mean, I'm going to do a review of that book I read about it at some point. I was going to do it actually today, but then I realised I better get a comments reply in video first. As for life after death, afterlife, death or ghosts, I've already given you a reference to where videos you can watch in which I discuss the issue. So I'm quite happy. I don't agree with you. I'm quite happy to delve into that. I do actually debate skeptics on this issue, as I do on all issues if skeptics are polite. Cryonics, Ferdinand Gollier. Hello, Ferdinand. Thanks for posting on HPANWO Radio, by the way. And he says, that was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. Thanks, Ferdinand. Cryonics, Cyril Disobedience. Hello, Cyril. Nice work, Ben. Really enjoyed it. Maybe do some mortality stuff sometime in the future when you've had longer to adjust to losing your friends. You're getting a love heart. Thank you. You're both. I gave one to Ferdinand too. Cyril, yeah. I mean, I will maybe talk more about my feelings about mortality as time goes on, because of course the question inevitably rises. You know, if the Grim Reaper is really that close, then it could, obviously he's close to me as well. I'm only a few years younger than Gareth, and I could have some kind of illness. I mean, Gareth did have Gareth discovered a few months before he died that he had a serious illness which he hadn't known about beforehand, which no doubt would have contributed to his vulnerability to the COVID-19 infection, which I think was what took his life. But yeah, I will do that, because it does make me think about these things. Because we go around, how's the phrase go? We live our lives pretending that death is just a rumour that might be true, which of course we do, I suppose. But intellectually we know that's not true. But we can't go around every day thinking, oh my God, no, I might die today. It's like in The Simpsons, Homer goes to visit a life coach, and he says, one of the first things the life coach gives him advice and says, you got to live every day as if it was your last. So Homer goes out and he goes, boo-hoo, I don't want to die. Which of course you would do if you knew it was your last day. Yeah. But yeah, it does make me think about these things a bit more, doesn't it? Yeah. And I was listening to that song Gloria by, what's her name, Laura Branigan, great singer songwriter, and she died very suddenly in her sleep. She had a brain aneurysm which popped, it just burst, and these are really scary things, because basically a lot of them don't have any symptoms. It's like having a big bubble of blood in your brain, and it just goes to a certain size, and it goes pop, and once it does, basically you then die. You die almost instantly of a cerebral hemorrhage. You literally die within minutes. There's nothing anyone can do really to save you if it's not been diagnosed, and it's difficult to diagnose it because many of them have no symptoms. And she was lying there, and her aneurysm, she had no idea she had, just went pop, and she died. Could happen to anyone. And it has these things with Gareth. The experience of losing Gareth has changed me. It has, yeah. Cryonics. Alliance of Calgon says, is this even possible? God only knows. We won't really find out unless technology comes to try and revive somebody. And if you revive them, what will they be like? Will they have any memories? Will they even be the same person on a philosophical level? As I explain in the video. I'm going to make another video about this, actually, pretty soon. I've already planned it. It's to do with the book I read. Trevor Murray says on Cryonics, hey Trevor, bless you, my co-host on Third Rail Radio. Last time I talked to Gareth, we had a heated argument about life and death. Oh, I'd love to hear it. Was that on the radio show? Was that just private? Cryonics, Charles from Project Camelot. Just like my organisation, we're always putting people on ice. That's right. You deal with people, man. You deal with them. We always put people on ice. Cat Squatch Returns says on Cryonics. Great. Cat Squatch Returns, and there's a Roman numeral here, which is actually... it's 33 in Roman numerals. Okay. Great insights here, Ben. Thanks, mate. Take care. You're very welcome, Cat Squatch. You're very welcome indeed. Right, movies. A hospital porter reacts. Alliance of Calgon says, do you remember the horror story with Paul Darrow in, who's Avon from Blake 7. Always had the best one-liners. They don't make sci-fi like that anymore. No, they don't, indeed, and I don't remember that. I only know Paul Darrow as Avon. He was in a couple of adverts, I remember, with space-like themes. But there was one for Malibu, I remember, where he was like on a spaceship. And it's obviously because he was Avon, he was selected to do this advert. But I don't remember him being in a Hammer horror story. No, the only Hammer horror story I really remember, actually, well, there's a couple I remember. There's the one with the pipe with the blood coming out of it. That was scary. But the really scary one was the Two Faces of Evil. That absolutely scared the shit out of me. I watch it today. I still find it frightening, very frightening, about doppelgangers and things like that. A Week in America live stream. Well, this is an old one, I think. Kevin Green says, divine right on the monarchy, bollocks. They got to be the monarchy. They got to be the monarchy by being the greediest, thieving, murdering bastards in the neighbourhood. Live by the sword. All right, Kevin. Okay, well, I think that's true if that's the case. Cryonics. Tommy Time Television says, I referenced your style in my video in her HPANWO TV fashion. Pause and read. All right, let's have a look at this. Have I subbed to you? Oh, this is called Hibri Island.
In this video,
I'll
sub you. Exploring Hilbury Island, Middle Eye, and
here's the video. I'll just show it you quickly.
This little one here.
What's this then, Tommy?
If you can see that.
Oh, here's his channel. Oh, Tommy Time. Let's have a look at your channel, mate. Oh, that's nice. That's a nice image in your banner. Oh, you went to Dole Tour as well. Oh, that's nice. I've been to Dole Tour. All right. Oh, nice one. Prehistoric caves. All right, Tommy. Thanks for showing me. I'll just take display capture off there. Thanks. I will have a look at that at some point. All right, but thanks, mate. Pause and read. I will do. Yeah, I will definitely have a look at that. Tommy Time Television also says here, Ben, you are one of the most well-read people I've ever come across. There's not many people like you left. Stay safe, fella. Oh, thanks, Tommy. You too, mate. Hope you do. Keep making your videos, mate, because it's such good fun, isn't it? Same video, cryonics. Gary Robinson says, hi, mate, this is totally off topic. All right, it's going to be about burning people, is it? And cremation. Which technically is the opposite of cryonics. Okay. No worries. I'm joking. But have you heard about the issue they've been having at LAX airport in Los Angeles with sightings of what's been described as floating humanoids of people wearing jetpacks? I came across this video today, which was taken by the LAPD. Cheers. Oh, I wish Gareth was alive to see this. Here we go. Ads. A theory about jetpack sighting. Yeah, I've heard about these people using jetpacks in the area. Maybe I should look into it, because it may be rather like that drone scandal at Gatwick Airport. Remember that?
This photo, just obtained by the I-Team, captured in November 2020 by an LAPD hills floating thousands of feet in the air.
That's a bloody...
And the same object floating over the Hollywood...
What the hell is that?
Possibly the Jack Skellington character from...
That's like a really... It's like a...
Federal investigators say they...
That's like a sort of like a doll or something, or a puppet. Oh, right. This is almost 3 minutes long. I don't have time to watch all this... I don't have time to watch all of this, Gary. But I've heard of other stories about people wearing jetpacks being spotted above airports. I do wonder, you say floating humanoids. I do wonder is it really people in jetpacks, or is it something a bit weirder? Now, what you've just showed me looks to me like some kind of doll. It's a segmented, lanky, long-legged, thin-limbed object. I don't know. But I'll have to look into that, yeah. The Dune film review. We have Mr. Gianluca Vialli. Another Scottish name there. Looking forward to this upload. Thanks, Ben. Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, the Dune review. I was very interested to go there. I'm glad I did it. Alex Ritchie. Hi, bud. Hey, Alex. How you doing? That's on Dune film review. Same video. Sue Hayward Tonkin. Hi, Sue. As a young person, I used to write to Frank Herbert and Stephen Donaldson a lot. as I wanted to know how to write sci-fi and fantasy. Both writers responded to most of my letters and shared tips for me. Hey, that was good of them, Sue. That was good that they wrote back to you, because they must get so much fan mail, it's almost impossible to get a reply from people. I mean, I like... have I ever written to anyone famous? Only David Icke. I used to send lots of emails to David Icke, and he never replied. But I wouldn't expect... it's not possible. When you think he must get, like... He actually did mention at one point he gets like about 2,000 emails a day. I mean, you can't reply to all those. And Sue, I mean, it's really nice that obviously it's hard, in those days it's harder to write a snail mail letter than it was to send an email. But he must have got piles of them. And it's good of him to write back to you. It really is. Dune. Does Paul still have the gom jabber? Oh, right. That's right. And Penny Flower says yes. Oh, right. What is the gom? I know it's something from... I know it's something from the Dune universe. Let's have a look. Gom jabber test. Dune wiki. Oh, right, here we go. What's a gom jabber? Also known as the high-handed enemy, was a handheld needle tipped with metacyanide poison. Yeah, it was... What it was that Bene Gesserit woman, the mother Gaius Helen Mohiam, actually holds it against Paul's neck when she's doing the box test where he has to put his hand in the box. Yeah. And that was, yes, that is in it. Yes, it's in that scene is in there. It's not done as well as it was in the Lynch movie. Like a lot of the Dunes, this film, it's not as good as the Lynch movie, but the scene is basically the same. And it's in the book, of course, where Paul feels that terrible pain, yeah. Nothing as it seems says on the same film. Australia, perhaps the orders are being laid out alphabetically. Oh, yes, I did. I mentioned that on my Austria live stream. I thought, just take 2 letters away and you've got the other country. Yes, probably Belarus will be next then, and then probably Catalonia or something. June Film Review. Dark Corners UK says... I've just started reading Frank Herbert's original novel for the first time, and I'm completely engrossed in the mythology of the world. It's amazing it took me this long to get around to reading it. It's brilliant, isn't it, Dark Corners? Yeah, I read it years ago after I watched the Lynch movie. And I was really surprised. I mean, one of the criticisms of the Lynch movie is it's very concise. It's a very condensed version of the story. And, of course, it is, because the book's about 900 pages. It's a very thick book, but I think Lynch does a good job of summarising it. It's a real Reader's Digest stab hand he has. But yeah, I mean, you really, I think the film, it was a perfect introduction to the book in a way. I went and read the book, and I really enjoyed the book. June Film Review. David Splendid Isolation says, you can't beat the original David Lynch masterpiece. You can't, no. This film didn't come close to it. Even though this particular film did... It was better in some ways. Generally speaking, absolutely no, absolutely not did it come close to that. Hatchy says, Ben, the Emperor likes to wear no clothes. In the full view of the uninitiated. Reverse psychology. Ben! Lots of, Ben that. There's loads of exclamation marks and question marks. Aside, when you on the KBXS show next... Personally speaking, the hospital porter and the boy from Glasgow, you're good together. Oh, thanks, mate. Thanks, Hatchie. I'll tell you right now when I'm... Let me just get my diary. I'll tell you right now when I'm next on with Kev. The 14th of December. It's a Tuesday. As always, it's a Tuesday. So you check now. Oh, and that's the end of a particular situation here. Right, okay. Okay, my darlings. I shall see you in a little minute or two. Okay, hour number 4. This is going to be a 2-parter, definitely. This is Dune film. Steve071, do not eat anything from McDonald's, Ben. Have you seen Super Size Me? The more he ate from there, the worse his health got. Also remember, when someone found a year-old mac and fries, you wouldn't see the difference between it. And it was one sold, and one sold today. Yeah, I saw that. Morgan Spurlock, his name was. Yeah. Well, firstly, Morgan Spurlock actually ate nothing but McDonald's for a month. I'm never going to do that. To be honest, I would never eat in there regularly, Steve. Never. Literally have not been in there for years. I just happened to just need something to eat because I was meeting some friends. And so I thought, well, where should I go? In the end, I went to this place called Kebab Kid, which still takes cash. David Smith says here, my health is crap anyway. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, David. I remember they tested how long it took McDonald's burgers versus other burgers to go bad, but what they didn't mention was that the salt content preserves them. If I remember correctly, there is a counter-film to Supersize Me that dispels all the misinformation put out. Not to say fast food is good, it's just not as bad for you as many people make out. Okay, David, that's interesting. Either way, I mean, it's you're not, it's not going to hurt you if you have it just once. You know, and David and Steve says each to their own, but I won't be eating on it. And you know what, Steve, I don't blame you. And I mean, I don't eat it very often, but honestly, if you're in the middle of town, you need something to eat, and you're hungry, you've got a lot to do, and you think, what should I do? And then the McDonald's is there. If you go in and get yourself a burger and fries, it's not going to kill you. If you do it every day, then it will. Diego Vera says on cryonics, reanimate fish fingers. That actually is one of the criticisms of the people who say it's all nonsense. They just say, well, it's you're crazy. It's all crazy. It is like trying to turn a fish finger back into a halibut, you know. And of course, I don't know if that's actually true. The pro cryonists say otherwise. There's this interesting bloke called Aubrey de Grey. I talked about the guy with the beard. Yeah, he's very interesting when you listen to him talk about that. Blue Wool, hey Blue Wool, how are you? June says, Blue Wool says, looking forward to your Eternals review. Should you see it? Yeah, maybe I will at some point. I mean, I want to go to the cinema again. I really do. That was on the Dune. But I've got too much to do. I don't know. I have to see. Charles of Project Camelot says on Dune, this is what people want. Honest, off the wrist, cuff, roving reporting with the Jonesian delivery, showcasing the latest talent wasted on disclosure rubbish. That will never happen. Do one in a diving bell at the bottom of Loch Ness. Give it some welly, Ben. This is what people want. Thank you, Charles. I will try to do more and more outside broadcasts because I know people have been requesting them, and I will try to do some. Presumably, we don't get all locked down in the next couple of weeks. I have some plans actually for some trips that I'm going on. Hopefully I'm going somewhere with another blonde at some point, which should be good. Dune says, Gary Robinson says on Dune, about 20 years ago, I was coming home on a train, and a young guy and his father were having an in-depth discussion about the various edits of the original 1980s Dune movie. I remember cringing at the geek level. Ironically, these days, I'm just as bad as I've seen two different cuts they were talking about. In the words of David Brent, hypocrite warning. All right. I didn't know there were different edits of the Dune movie. I haven't seen it for a while. I've got the DVD of it somewhere. It's so good. I feel the urge maybe I should to watch it again, actually, seeing as I prefer it so much to this new one by Denis Villeneuve. Gary Robinson says, Ben, mate, I must point out that the new Dune movie is not a remake. It's simply a new adaptation of the original novel. Cheers. Yes, Gary, sorry about that. That's true. I made the same mistake over Solaris, which was I thought was a remake of the original Russian one by Andrei Tarkovsky. It's not. It is an adaptation of the novel by Stanislav Lem. Yeah, okay. Gary Robinson says on Dune, in regards to George Lucas being influenced by Dune, I'm not entirely sure about this. Shortly before his death, Gary Kurtz, who was George Lucas's producing partner from the days of THX 1138 right up until The Empire Strikes Back, revealed that they were originally looking to make a Flash Gordon movie. But when they had trouble securing the rights, George decided to create his own film from scratch. As far as I know, the Comic-Con appearance where he explained this is the only time that's ever been disclosed. All right. On the flip side, Ridley Scott was hugely inspired by Star Wars and in turn accepted the job of directing the original Dune movie. Really? I can't remember why he didn't do it in the end, but as a twist in the story of David Lynch was the original director of Return of the Jedi. And I'm pretty sure he dropped out to direct Dune. Cheers. Well, Gary, thanks for the information. That's an interesting bit of geekdom there. It really was. I didn't know that this was actually happening. That they were going to make Flash Gordon, and then Ridley Scott was going to do Dune, and then David Lynch was going to do Return of the Jedi and dropped that. And that's right, because of course a guest director was brought in for Empire Strikes Back as well. I can't remember his name. The Flash Gordon movie actually was really good. It's a lot of unintentional comedy there, or maybe very subtle intentional comedy. It's very it's ostentatious and very, very camp. Yeah, that's I didn't know about all that. Yeah, but I can't remember where George Lucas said he was influenced by Dune. I can't remember that. A THX 1138 was an interesting movie. Funnily enough, the name of that was actually used in Alan Dean Foster's novelisation of Star Wars. Here we go. THX 1138. American social science fiction film by George Lucas. 1971 dystopian future. Right. That's interesting. But I find it interesting that Alan Dean Foster did do that. That he took the title of this film and used it in his novelisation of Star Trek. It's actually the code name for one of the stormtroopers in. It's one of the code name. It's the code name for one of the stormtroopers on the Death Star. Bit of an obscure reference there, wasn't it? Gary Robertson said the Westgate Centre looks very nice, mate. Back in the days when I was going out drum and bassing it in Oxford during the 90s, I don't think it was there. It was there, Gary, but it was much smaller than it is now. It was actually shut down for about 3 years where they completely revamped it. I didn't film in the centre because I've already done an entire video about the new Westgate Centre when it was new. Yeah. But you can check that out. It's on my channel somewhere. I do filming from inside it. I did film briefly on the terrace, as you know, in this film. Dune again. Gary Robinson again says, I was also hugely frustrated by the film's abrupt ending. I did some Googling, and it turns out they planned it as two movies from the start. Yes, and they don't tell you till you get into the cinema and actually see the titles, because it's not on the poster, it's not in the trailer, anywhere. You just think it's an entire adaptation all in one. You get into the cinema and you find, it's part 1. Why don't they just tell you from the start? Because if they tell you from the start, you know it's like two films. It's more honest. Instead, they say it's almost like they're tricking the viewer into viewers who would not watch a two film epic are being tricked into watching it, thinking it's a single film epic. That's a bit dishonest, isn't it? Gary Robinson says on Dune, one of the big differences between the two versions for me is the fact that the new movie doesn't include the scene where the Emperor is telling that huge alien thing he plans to betray the good guys. It's amazing how much David Lynch crammed into his version of the movie, and still it worked very well. Yeah, I don't think that scene is in the book, actually. The Emperor is actually not really featured much. You see his daughter. His daughter actually is the narrator of the Lynch movie and does the prequel. She apparently in the book it's revealed that she wrote a book called In My Father's House, which is like a book within a book, and it makes it very realistic actually. But you have like the Space Guild in the film, which is very good. These huge slug-like things in these tanks. That's very cool. That is. I think that's a very cool thing. The Dune Film Review. Checkpoint says you can pay cash in these establishments. When the screen asks you to insert your card, press cancel. You press the cancel order tab, and it gives you the option to pay cash at the counter. Well, thank you very much, Checkpoint. I'll bear that in mind for future reference. Sax Glenda says it's a terrible film, a boring lack of atmosphere and imagination. Lynch's movie was superior and better casted. Yes, generally speaking, I'd say yes. This one is much too slow paced. It lacks the richness and depth of the book and the color of the book, and it's like even the Harkonnen. I mean, Vladimir Harkonnen. he's rather actually, on reflection, I think he's a rather shallow cutout and a rather one-dimensional version of the true richness and evil of the actual genuinely created antagonist. Who is it who plays him in? Who plays Baron Harkonnen in the original film? Let's have a look. He's a very good actor. They were like, he's much more sort of human. I mean, the funny is the Harkonnens in the Harkonnens in the Lynch are actually very obviously human. Here we are, Kenneth Macmillan. Here we go. He plays him as Vladimir Harkonnen. Yeah. Now, Baron Harkonnen is actually there he is. He's covered in like buboes and sores. He's got like psoriasis and he looks disgusting. And he's deliberately intended to. No, I've never actually seen the Dune miniseries. He's played by Stellan Skarsgård, and he's kind of like, he doesn't, the actual Harkonnens in this new film, they don't look human. They look kind of alien, and as if you don't see them as human. They literally look like they are some kind of weird Nordic alien. And he lacks the sophistication of the actual character in this particular film. His dialogue is not terribly good. He sort of lies around in this bowl of black goo or oil. Maybe it's symbolic of the oil industry in the Middle East, because Arrakis is based on the Middle East, as I explain. And it is. I mean, they've done that quite well. Like I said, the Fremen are based on the Bedouin, as Frank Herbert intended them to be. That's done slightly better than Lynch. Arrakeen is distinctly, has these big imposing houses with little windows and these big pyramid-like structures. It's definitely, I think, meant to look like Dubai, if you look at the skyline of Dubai. But yeah, generally speaking, though, I'd watched the Lynch 100 times before I watched this. Much better. Ravenhill says on the Austria live stream, "Hi Ben, I think I've asked you this before, I can't remember. But what do you think of Anne-Marie Waters of For Britain? Would you agree the country is in a badder state as she makes out?" I think you mean worse rather than badder, but is in a badder state than she makes out. Now, Anne-Marie Waters is she's actually changed her position on numerous things at numerous times. Like, she's really jumping on the climate change bandwagon now. I say bandwagon, that's unfair. She's getting behind the idea that the whole COP26 thing was a scam. The For Britain thing is very sort of it's described as a far right party. It's very kind of counter jihad. It's a bit passé, actually, this whole counter jihad thing. It's becoming increasingly obvious to people, even on the so-called "this isn't right," that in a sense was a phony war. However, Anne-Marie herself presents a show on the Wake Up UK network, which is a show where I've been a guest numerous times. I've not been a guest on her shows, but I've been a guest on Caroline Stevens' show. I was a guest on Jeremy Poole's, and someone else who I can't remember. If Anne-Marie wanted me to be a guest, I would go on her show gladly. I'd be pleased to talk to her. Funny enough, the guy who runs, what's his name? The guy who runs Wake Up UK asked me if I would present a show on the network, and I said no. And the only reason I said no is because I just don't have time. I can't do that on top of everything else I do. Put a weekly show out for Wake Up UK, but if I had the time, I'd have done it. Okay, Austria live stream. New video. Cute Kanji says, "It makes no sense whatsoever. Is it a V word or isn't it? Either you are immune to something or you're not, and it's not giving immunity. Then what's the damn point of it all?" Good question, yeah. Why are they so desperate for us to have this V word? They're just in a frenzy to try and get us to take this V word. Then what about natural immunity? They don't seem to be talking about that anymore. You'd think the more cases, then the happier they'd be, since all those people would then be immune to it afterwards. Plus all the V-worded, then hardly anyone should be worried. if it really is the majority who apparently die from it, are all over their 80s, and I'm sorry, but we've all got to die of something, for goodness sake. I mean, life expectancy is only around 80 years anyway. It's insanity. It's like reporting on the national news every single car accident across Britain every day, showing up on graphs and charts of the amount of accidents and fatalities, whipping up hysteria and placing a ban on travelling. All vehicles except emergency or goods are allowed on the roads until we cut down on the accidents, even though there are few fatalities compared to the general accidents. It's utterly ridiculous. It's only because they are constantly reporting on it. If nobody watched the so-called news, then it wouldn't exist in the vast majority of people's lives. It's an absolute disgrace if any job, etc., forces you to have a medical procedure. It's total discrimination, and it's the politically correct left that love discriminating and totalitarian lockdowns, etc., yet scream and shout about abortion on the woman's body and obsessed with minorities being given priority, etc. So they're extremely liberal for some, but extremely draconian for others. I think we should stop talking about them. And it's only a small minority who are implementing these restrictions and rules. If the rest of us ignored them, they can't do anything. Just refuse to comply. It's our civic duty to defy an unjust law. That is an excellent comment, Cute Janji. You say it all, really. And as far as the left, it's really weird that the sort of rebellious left are so pro this. I mean, Labour, the Labour opposition had an opportunity there in the same way that Boris did. Boris had an opportunity to be the populist British Trump and keep us out of all this nonsense. He cucked and went into it. Labour then had the opportunity to be the opposition and say and oppose the whole lockdown. But Labour's only objection in Parliament is that the government is not locking down fast enough or hard enough. So they're just saying, well, you're not doing it enough. The left are all in favour of this. I mean, Noam Chomsky, can you believe what Noam Chomsky said? Noam Chomsky, this great libertarian socialist, if that's not a contradiction, but he's a very freedom-loving kind of leftist. He opposed war and things like that, and opposed foreign intervention and things like that. Yeah, he was on an interview the other day. He was saying, people who say no to the V word, are endangering everyone, and they should be punished. This is the biggest crisis since A, B, and C. I mean, this guy's lost his mind. He's lost his mind. I know he's 95 or something, but I was really disappointed in Noam Chomsky there, I really was. Gary Robinson says on Austria livestream, "Hey Ben, sorry I missed the livestream. I'll watch this the whole way through. Cheers." Oh, you're very welcome, Gary. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy it, mate. Gary Robinson's Mozart. He was Austrian. That's right, yes. Einstein. Someone else said Einstein. That's right. E equals MC squared. Lots of famous Austrians. Considering they have such a small population, they produce some remarkable people. There's, like I say, Einstein, Mozart. Same video. Discerning Consciousness podcast. Great live session. Thanks, Ben Ant. Oh, you're welcome, Ant. Glad you enjoyed it. Spies of London, part 1. Oh, this is an old one. It's an old one. I enjoyed doing this one. This is a great video, though. I really enjoyed it. Kevin Green says, excellent documentary, Ben. This must have taken a good amount of research. Deep respect and thanks, Kev. Thank you very much, mate. I was going to make this the first of a series, but nothing came of it. And the lockdown really broke my train of thought in that respect. But I'll probably make another video on this subject. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Austria livestream, Jock of Ages. Mr. Stream, because O2 was having a hissy. Oh dear, hope you're well, fella. Oh, thanks, Jock. I'm sorry O2 let you down there. Gary Robinson says on the Austria live stream, I wonder how organised crime will react if the world eventually becomes a dual society with some people being locked down versus people being allowed to move about. I already know someone who has gained access to a country that was very difficult to get into using fake V certificates he made on a computer. I'm sure you can guess the country I'm talking about. The same one the Haitian migrants were trying to get to. Cheers, yes. Let me give you a clue, Gary. Is it the one you're living in? Let me guess, yeah. The organised crime will respond like they always do in situations like this, like they did during the Prohibition era in the United States. They will set up a dual economy, and they will use it to get people who want things badly enough, who will pay the highest price, will get it from them. It's like this is why they set up speakeasies during the Prohibition era. If you wanted to have a drink, you couldn't purchase alcohol anymore through the usual channels. So you went to the speakeasy, which was usually run by the mafia, or some people set up private ones. But basically, people would go there, and you'd be able to get illicit booze from that place. And they're going to do the same now. There's going to be a massive black market in fake visa certificates, bogus apps on phones, all that kind of thing. And if people go out and purchase these, I don't care. I won't blame them, because if the government then complain and say, "Look, you're fueling organised crime," I'll say, "Well, the government's only got itself to blame." You make these things, you put people into an impossible situation and push them against the wall. That's what they're going to do. They made their bed, they can lie in it. Gary carries on. P.S. What I mean by this is that the limitations are going to create gaps in the market for organised crime, such as fake IDs and passports. Even if things are digital, we know that Mr. Robot types are still able to get things done. Pride and dignity, brother. Pride and dignity to you too. And yes, exactly. You're going to find all kinds of things like this. And none of it's necessary. All of it's preventable. It's the government are just being stupid. Or they're not being stupid, they're just being downright evil, because they're doing this deliberately. As I've said before, this is all intentional. The lockdown is not a response to the C word. The C word, it was put out there. Either it was either it was created deliberately, or it happened to appear at the right time as the pretext for the lockdown. Austria live stream, Gary Robinson. Hi Ben, in regards to power cuts, I was listening to Reverend Simon Sideways the other day, and he said there's been mass reports of lights flickering in the UK, which suggests the power supply is no longer constant. Sorry, I don't know the technical term. Alright, yeah, that's it. It's not been in the news, obviously, yet, but something will happen like this. Eventually, when lights start going out, they're going to have to report on it, aren't they? He carries on. Here in Mexico, the power is also not very reliable. We often have very short power cuts lasting a few seconds to a few minutes, completely out of the blue. The weather also affects our power. For example, a heavy rainfall will knock out most of our city. We have the same issue with light bulbs flickering, and it's due to the current going up and down because the infrastructure is not good. Also, when you were on with Neil Peel the other day and his mate Andy was explaining how the huge wind turbines are useless. He's right about that. You might remember that last January here in Mexico, we had an ice storm with -9 temperatures and several inches of snow. Our power was being cut for half a day every day, so that Mexico could supply power to Texas across the border. They have a lot of wind turbines that are supposed to be able to supply power to the state, but they were completely ineffective. Cheers. I remember that. That must have really pissed off the Mexicans. It really must have done. I mean, unfortunately, under Joe Biden, that sort of thing is going to happen a lot more. Austria again, and it's Dr. Respect. It's not a lockdown. They want everyone either dead or sterilised. In 1952, the world's population was just 3.5 billion. In 50 years, it doubled to 7.6 billion. And they said within the next 20 years, the world population will have doubled again to 16 billion. 16 billion people will take a lot of the Earth's resources. And this is what they're trying to halt. I see some very bad times coming within the next few months for those who've taken the V. Yeah. Dr. Respect, that's kind of like that clip with the old Utopia, both the clips in Utopia. There's another one as well, which I haven't played, but it's the original Utopia sort of, admit all, the reveal all, which the guy tied up says. Firstly, the Earth's the fear of overpopulation. I mean, it could be that the Earth's population will probably rise. Probably not to 60 million. 16. It'll probably plateau around 11 billion, and then maybe start to decline or level off. But you say it will take a lot of the Earth's resources, and that's what they're trying to halt. Well, the only reason that's the case is because they won't declassify free energy. They won't declassify terra preta. They won't declassify anti-gravity. If those things were available to us, that kind of technology, we wouldn't have to worry, because using that technology, we could provide massive amounts of farm produce, free water everywhere. I mean, 16 billion would be nothing. The Earth could hold far more than 16 billion. The only reason it's a lot of it just high population is damaging the environment is because that we're living a destructive lifestyle, because the Tesla technology and things like that is being kept classified. So let's see what happens there. Austria again, checkpoint. Ben, who's the guy you rip into for having bodyguards, saying how much he can bench press and for wearing tight jeans, etc.? Well, it's Greer, isn't it? Dr. Stephen Greer. When you're talking about holding people down and Ving them, you claim doctors would have to do it. And that, of course, is nonsense. In this country, it's not nonsense, no. You have to have someone at least has some kind of training. Medical, nursing, paramedic, etc. Army medic, police medic, etc. Charles from Project Camelot. I think Agent Rin held Ben down. He was very compliant, she told me at the briefing. I was indeed, actually. Yes, I didn't put up much of a fight. Yes, I did think about it, but then I thought, nah, I'll take one for the team. Reply to comment 49. Charles from Project Camelot says, you're talking about Bill Bailey's Little Book of Calm. Yeah, add a dab of lavender to your milk, make friends with an orange, and pretend you're laughing at it. Oh, that was so funny, wasn't it? It was my daughter who actually told me about that series. Oh, it's so funny. It was really old. I mean, I saw it, and Bill Bailey's really young in it. He looks really young in it, and I thought, blimey, he's young. And then she said, oh, this was out years ago, and I never saw it. It's so funny, though. The Black Books, yeah. Right, welcome to HPANWO TV, Gord. This is one of my first videos. Charles says, oh, bugger. By Jumprum is on the fritz again. Give me a minute. Oh, my goodness me. You're jumping forward and around the ages like nobody's business. UFO Disclosure Project, Briefing to the President, Part 2. This is another old one. Nope, still too early. Hang on a mo. Not Roswell 2. Where the hell have I landed now? God blimey. Charles, you should have gone to Montauk. They do it much better. Exopolitics Leaves 2011. Oh, no, that made it worse. Hold on. Pandora's Promise film review. Ah, now we're getting somewhere. Yes, just check that. You shouldn't do what the doc does in Back to the Future. Make sure you set the code correctly. Austria live stream. Okay, caught up. Back to the present day. I forgot what I was going to say to you now. Yeah. All that time travelling breaks your train of thought, doesn't it? Nice one, Charles. Brilliant banter there. Austria live stream. Snarnock. We are allowed to know the ingredients of other V words, but we're not allowed to know what's in the C word V word. It is bizarre that certain people are okay with that. Also, a huge amount of people who have been V-worded and their relatives next of kin would now by now have discovered they cannot sue the pharma companies. That's correct. That's correct. You're not told this, but if something goes wrong and you get so much as a sniffle to a heart attack, guess what? The manufacturers are not to blame, even if it's their product that did it. That's amazing. That's incredible, isn't it? I mean, if you run a restaurant and you serve people steak with botulism in it and they die, you're liable. Yet the inventors and producers of the V word, if they do the same thing, they're immune. They have complete legal non-accountability. How about that, eh? Is that going to incentivize them to produce a safe product, I wonder? Snarnock. Austria live stream. It's interesting to reread Albert Pike's letter from time to time. We can clearly see the engineered chaos at the moment that he mentions. That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, Albert Pike. This was in the late 19th century he wrote this, didn't he? Snarnock, do you know how this is on Austria, do you know how Viktor Orban and Hungary stand in this madness? I don't, although I know Orban is he's very anti-New World Order. He seems to be a kind of Putin or Trump-like character. But, I don't know, I said that about Boris, didn't I? And look what Boris did. Completely sold out. Snarnock, the Prime Minister of Romania gave a very passionate 5-minute speech in the EU a few days ago, exposing the EU colluding with big pharma companies and describing the difference between a tyranny and a democracy, using the current situation as an example. It's also very encouraging to hear people like him standing up to these unelected bullies. Absolutely, Snarnock, yes. Absolutely. You know, it's as long ago as when I was a little kid. You know, and I was at school. You know, and bullies would inevitably someone tries to pick on you and see how far they can get. One kid tried to get me to pay him money, and I said no, and he slapped me around the face, and I fell to the ground. But I still said no, and my mum said I did the right thing. They said, whenever you encounter these bullies, you have to stand up to them. If you don't stand up to them, they just do it more. Well, that includes the bullies in government. We've got to stand up to them, because they won't stop until we do. And they are. This is bullying. This is not This is not informed consent. It's coercion. Austria livestream. May the feline force be with you. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Never Let Me Go film review. Oh, this is an old one. This is another old film. This is Carrie Collar. I actually did put a text comment on this, but he says, is it he or she? Carrie Collar. I have to say that I like this movie a lot, but the research for the existence of these donors is wrong on. But the reason for the existence of these donors is wrong on every level. This is a very sad movie, and it made me angry. I'm so glad this was a fantasy. Yeah, oh God, me too. I mean, Never Let Me Go. If you ever read the book or watched the movie, it's set in a kind of parallel universe where there's clones which are used for organ donation. It's horrible, and it tells the story of some of these clones. Yeah, it's very. Oh, is that the end? Oh my goodness, I've come to the end of YouTube. Oh, of the YouTube comments. Okay, I'll go back and check them again later. But let's go to BitChute. Okay, I'll just open my Odyssey. I'll open Odyssey as well. Because I'll go to Odyssey in a minute. I don't think I've got any Odyssey comments this cycle. But anyway, now, as you know, Odyssey do not give any timestamps. Odyssey's commenting system means that you don't actually get any notices. You don't get any notices on the comments from your notice. You have like a notification system on BitChute, but it only provides you with information about videos you sub to. So you get a list of all your subs and when they upload videos. But when someone comments on your video, you get no notification at all. So the only way you can answer all your comments on BitChute is to go through every single one of your videos and check and see every so often. Now, that's not good enough, and this is one of the things I wish BitChute would sort out. BitChute actually have improved their uploading system a bit. I haven't had any uploads refused since they did that. So maybe they are getting their arse in gear, which is great. But the thing is, I don't have time to go for every single video and check it for comments. Because basically I've got my entire catalogue backed up on BitChute now, apart from the ones it refused. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go through the last 4, or actually 5 that I made. That includes mine. No, 4. The last 4 videos on BitChute I uploaded, which I successfully uploaded to BitChute, since the last comments reply video. That's all I can do. So if you're watching this and you put a comment on BitChute on another video, I'm sorry I haven't seen it. You can email me and tell me it's there. That's all I can suggest. So, Austria Live. Let's go, start at the beginning. UFO disclosed 2021. It could happen any time. No comments. Cryonics. I've got a funny taste in my mouth now. Okay. BM 2018. Woody Allen is a nonce. Okay, Woody Allen is an. I don't know the details about it. I know he was accused of. I think he married his stepdaughter or something, but I don't know all the details of that, man. But are you sure? Because people say that about Michael Jackson when he was cleared of all the charges in court. Was Woody Allen did he ever go to court over this? If so, was he convicted? Did he go to jail? If he was found innocent, or the police didn't pursue the investigation, you've got to ask yourself, well, why is that? If he's guilty, if he is guilty, and normal procedure was not enough to convince you of his innocence, and you still think he's guilty, then by what criteria would you accept your hypothesis had been falsified? What criteria would you use to accept that he was innocent? This is because people come to me about Michael Jackson all the time. Oh, he was a pedo. He was a pedo. He went to court, cleared on all counts. And they say, yes, but that doesn't matter. He's still a pedo. All right, well, if someone called you a pedo and you went to court and you were cleared, would you tolerate them going on about it afterwards? Because if someone being cleared in court is not enough to convince you of their innocence, what would? This is why we need a tribunal system. Charles Scott, if you're watching, please pay attention when people say things like this. This is why we need a tribunal system. Because this is just not good enough. This is medieval justice. This is ordeal by hashtag. Civilization is dependent on a proper judiciary. Well, it could be that we woo-woos will be the ones who have to build a civilization when this one collapses. So let's stop acting like barbarians, please. Cryonics, I've done that. Okay, Dune film review. Oh, did I put a... Sorry, did I put a... Okay, I just want to check I put a... I think, did I put like a notice? Yeah, I did. Not that it makes any difference. I did, yeah. Okay, Dune. John Joe at 70. Hello, John Joe. How are you doing? I agree with you, Ben. I've been out and about more, going out for meals. Just pub-type places. I've been stocking up on supplies and food, especially food. I've probably got a year's supply of food storage sorted, plus things like toiletries, medicine, etc., just in case I'm locked out of society. Great video, Ben. Thanks, John Joe. Much appreciate. John Doe, much appreciate that. I'm not like a prepper. I don't have any storage of anything myself. If I had a small child, I probably would, but I believe that I really do believe that things can be prevented from getting that bad. And if they can't, then I'm not, we're dealing basically with the New World Order anyway, in which case I'll be dead anyway, so I don't really have any reason to, you know what I mean? Okay, Austria live stream. Oh, there's lots of comments on this. Let me just hit pause on there. Wayland says, Mag Bitter Truth is worth the listen. He's very insightful and a lot of the time, but he has some big misses. All right, Mag Bitter Truth. I don't know him. Wayland also says here, I think the point of the Voldemort, I know, the Voldemort thing we don't mention, is that you roll up your own, you roll your own sleeve up. They only win if they get you to agree to it. That's a good metaphor there. You roll your own sleeve up to accept the V word. Yes, and of course, generally speaking, that counts for the whole thing, doesn't it? For everything that's happening, you roll your own, you make the decision to go along with it. That's a good point, Wayland. Yeah, good point. Wayland also says here, 107. It can have two effects. Some people will agree with removing freedoms to make us safe, while others will be motivated to fight against it. I know people who were against the J word or the V word, but took it to keep their jobs. You'll find both characters. You'll find people who will be galvanized into action, and those who will be browbeaten into compliance. Unfortunately, now the question is, which is larger? I think that's the question. Hopefully the former will be larger. Wayland says here, the computers. Sorry, the text is very small here. The computers still operate on the same principle as the first transistor-based computer. At the smallest element of logic gate, the logic gate can represent a 1 or 0, and all the doubt has been engineered out of this. There is no indeterminate state. That means anything built with a logic gate, which is everything in computing, is entirely deterministic. No matter how fancy the computer or its programs, it only ever responds to the contents of its memory and the data coming in its inputs. Given the same internal state memory, an input will always do the same thing. Bugs are simply where the operator of the computer has lost control. The computer is still responding deterministically, no matter how mysterious it appears. This means a computer can never have free will. It is suggested that we don't have free will either, and we're just responding to previous states. However, those people who suggest this never actually believe in their own lives. Basically, they are too stupid to see why it's stupid. But for computers, that's how they work. Not having free will puts a limit on what computers are capable of. Self-driving cars are all very well, but engineers solved that problem in the past by using rails. That makes trains very deterministic. The road system simply does not work that way, and only could if cars were scheduled like trains with no human drivers at all. That's interesting, Wayland. You know, Wayland, I think you probably intended that comment to be addressed to other videos I made. For example, my free will video or my guided buses video. But you decided to put it on this video, and you only did so 5 days ago because you knew that because of BitChute's commenting system, I wouldn't read it otherwise. So I understand exactly why you did that. That's an interesting comment. That's kind of similar to what David Deutsch was saying to Sam Harris. I think I don't remember the exact details, but he kind of said that the fundamentals of computing algorithms mean they can never become self-aware and conscious. Whatever causes our brains to be conscious is something entirely different. So thanks for that, Wayland. I understand why you didn't post it on the original video, and that's fine, fair enough. Patrick 88855566 says, "Here's my story, grateful. My wife was diagnosed with cancer before I learnt of Rick Simpson's oil, RSO. I'm sorry, mate, I am. The hospital said do chemotherapy and radiotherapy. She did, and went through a lot, but no cure. After a while, the doctors said the cancer was spreading and we could look for alternatives." They say that afterwards, don't they? They don't say that before. "I searched the internet and found out about the oil. I asked a lot of questions, watched the videos, etc. We made the oil for ourselves, but it couldn't just work out. We were doing more harm than good, and the cancer was still there spreading. I searched more on the internet and found a testimony of how a lady got the oil via a website, Natural Rick Simpson's CannabisOil.com. Immediately copied the email address on the website. I wrote to the very email on the website, and in an hour later I got a reply back asking me a few questions and enlightened me on how to get the oil in the next 48 hours. I placed my order, and in the next 48 hours got the medication oil got to us. Immediately my wife started using the oil. It's been 2 months now since my wife has been using the medication oil, and the cancerous problems are gone. This very fact was clarified by the doctor." I bet he put it down to a spontaneous remission, didn't he? "I put this piece of testimony for the sake of those ones who need this oil. Please don't die in silence. There is a cure for your cancer today, and there's the website." Well, Patrick, thank you very much. Again, I understand why you put this off-topic comment on this particular video. I do. And I've been looking into this as well, and I understand exactly what you're in. I'm so pleased that your wife is on the mend. I've known so many other people. The problem, this is always the problem. I mean, it's when you're sat in front of your doctor and the doctor's saying, you know, look, you've got cancer. Look, we can cut it off and poison the stump. That's all we can do. It takes the fear of knowing you have this disease that could kill you. It's very, very difficult indeed. It takes a lot of courage to wrench that around and say no. And knowing the risks you're taking. And so I take my hat off to all the people who take this risk. And I'm furious with the system that prevents people using these kinds of medications. It's like in that film, The Hunt for CM24. The bans that takes these medications off the market because they work too well. There are so many anti-cancer drugs that are not in use. They're not in use not because they don't work, but because they work too well. Honestly, when this New World Order is over, God, this idea, reparations, like the wokists talk about, it's just not possible. You'd have to reincarnate 1,000,000 times and make the universe last for a quadrillion years to do it. I mean, there is no punishment bad enough for what these people have done to us. There's nothing appropriate that we could possibly sentence them to. I'm happy for your story. I really am. If I was in her position, I hope I'd have the courage to do the same, which we all might be one day. It's really what is sick is the doctors, they wait until they give up on you. When they say they give up on you and say sorry, the cut it off and poison the stumps thing hasn't worked, like it does for millions of people all the time, unfortunately. The doctors say sorry, there's nothing we can do. We'll just give you diamorphine so you don't suffer too much at the end. Oh, by the way, now if you want to try alternative treatments, go ahead. They say that after they've given up on you. Oh, go ahead, try some alternative treatments if you want. They don't say it beforehand. They get you under that big pharma mallet first, until they've squeezed as much as they can, much money through taxation through the NHS as they can off you, and then they just give you up for loss and say, it's okay, you're free to do what you want now, because big pharma can't make any money off you. Oh, obviously there'll be a few quid for the morphine when you're on your deathbed, that's all. Bastards. Anyway, thanks for those comments on BitChute, guys. I'm going to go over to Odyssey now. Now, I've received no comment notifications at all lately. And, of course, Odyssey is slightly better than BitChute. You do get comment notifications. They only go back 10 days, which is why when I get one, I always put it in my comments reply notes. And my current comments reply notes don't have any. So I believe I have had no Odyssey comments at all. I will just double check actually by going to the videos themselves, but I believe I've had none at all. So I'll just double check here. Nope, no comments on that. On disclosure, COP26, no comment. Let's have a look. No comments. Nope. Cryonics. I'm just double checking. I'm pretty sure it's correct. No comments. That's right. Come on, Odyssey. Give us some comments. Give me some Odyssey comments, please. I'd love to hear what you have to say. No comments. None there. And Austria live stream finally. No comments. That's right. Okay, so we're nearly done now. I'm just going to go. Whoops. No. I'll go back to YouTube. I'll just refresh the page. See what comments have appeared during this time. No, it's nothing's appearing on the comments and mentions section, but sometimes I get like notifications in my notifications box on my main YouTube page, so I go to that.
It's been distributed.
Shut up, Hamilton! I'm not talking to you. Okay, right, here we go. Right, here we go. Oh, I do have a few. I got my video notifications. I still sub to Andrew Johnson. Despite our personal differences, I still watch what he has to say. Dag Jab says here. What does Dag Jab say? Why does Ben keep saying thanks for your comment? It will be answered in approximately the third hour of the upcoming comments reply video. Yet replies directly to everyone. Oh, hang on. It's it appears to be. Hang on. Let me just. I can't see the rest of it for some reason. Hang on. Oh, let me just go to my channel. Ugh, I'd have to go there soon anyway. Oh, sorry, Dag. I can't see your whole comment here. Oh, it might be in the bloody. Hang on. It might be in the bloody. What's it called? Spam section. Let me just have a look. Sorry, I want to read the rest of your comments because you've asked me a question. I want to have an answer. Held for review. Oh, nothing. Okay. Published. Comments I haven't responded to yet. Okay. Okay. Ben the J.R. Porter. Right. Let's just have a look if it's on the actual channel. Let's have a look. No, it's not. Okay, it's only appearing as a notification. That's a shame, actually, because what I want to... He says, why... Oh, well, I'll just say what I was planning on doing. Dag Jab was saying, why does Ben keep saying, quote, thanks for your comment, it will be answered approximately in the third hour of the upcoming comments reply video, unquote, yet replies directly to everyone in other situations or whatever Dag Jab was going to say. Would you know what my answer would have been? What would my answer have been to Dag? Thanks for your comment. It will be answered approximately within the fourth hour of the upcoming comments reply video. Unfortunately, I would have left that, but I can't see it. Dag Jab's maybe he deleted his comment. I don't know. Oh dear. A Discerning Consciousness podcast said, "My pleasure, Ben. Keep up the great work." And all right. And I'll put here. I don't need to put another comment there, but and you're very welcome, mate. And thank you very much. I'll keep up the great work. I'm glad you appreciate it. Okay, so I think one more refresh and then we're done. And what's the time? What time is it? Oh, it's 9 minutes remaining. So it's almost 4 hours wrong. It's almost 4 hours. Okay, so this is going to be a two-parter. And we go to that and nothing. Right, so that's it. all over with. Thank you very much, all of you, everyone who's left me a comment, good, bad, and ugly. I get all three. Always have fun with them, no matter what they're like, and I really appreciate. And I don't have to restate it, but I'm going to say it anyway. If it wasn't for your comments, this video wouldn't happen. It's obvious. I don't really need to say it, but I'm going to. And I really appreciate your comments and for giving me the opportunity to make this video. There'll be another one coming soon. I've got plans for more videos. I will try and get out and about if I can. If not, well, there's also going to be a book review coming up. I want to do another movie review. Like I said, I want to go to the cinema again. I want to go as much as I can because, as I've said before, how much longer am I going to be able to do that? It could be that a time's going to come when I won't be able to go to the cinema for a very long time. And that's going to make me very sad. So I want to enjoy it while I can. Thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV, the 50th comments reply video. I think I need a beer to celebrate. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.